Your body is not your enemy, your illness is not a punishment, and healing is not a matter of luck or genetics. Here's what the medical establishment doesn't tell you. You have been endowed by your Creator with a healing power so magnificent, so automatic, that your body heals, cuts, mends bones, and fights millions of invaders every single day without you thinking about it. Right now, as you listen to these words, your body is performing millions of healing operations. Your immune system is identifying and destroying harmful cells. Your heart is pumping blood to every organ. Your lungs are extracting oxygen and expelling toxins. Your digestive system is extracting nutrients and eliminating waste. All of this happens automatically, intelligently, perfectly. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to manage it. The infinite intelligence within you handles it all. But here's the key that changes everything. This healing power responds to your spoken word. When you understand the law of restoration and begin speaking in harmony with it, you align yourself with the infinite healing intelligence within you. You become a conscious co-creator of your health, instead of an unconscious victim of circumstances. Tonight, I'm going to prove to you that you are not a victim of your body, you are its master. You are not at the mercy of disease, you have dominion over it. You are not helpless, you are powerful beyond measure, and that power expresses itself through the words you speak. Now I know you're tired. I know you've been disappointed before. I know the frustration of waking up every morning wondering if today will be the day you feel better, only to be met with the same pain, the same limitations, the same struggle. You've tried the medicines, and they helped a little maybe, but the side effects were almost as bad as the condition. You've tried the treatments, and some of them were expensive, some of them were painful, and some of them promised more than they delivered. You've tried the diets, eliminating this food and that food, drinking the special teas, taking the supplements, and maybe you saw some improvement for a while, and then the symptoms came back. Or maybe nothing helped at all. And I know something else. I know you've started to feel like your body is broken, like something is fundamentally wrong with you, like you're defective in some way. You look at other people who seem healthy and energetic and you wonder, why not me? What did I do wrong? Why is my body failing me? You've maybe even started to feel like healing is for other people but not for you. Like you're the exception. Like you're the one case where nothing works. My friend, I'm here to tell you that's simply not true. That's not the truth about you. That's just a story you've been telling yourself, based on past disappointments and current circumstances. But circumstances can change, stories can be rewritten, and bodies can heal. The healing power within you has never left. It's been there since the day you were born. It's been working your whole life. It's working right now, this very moment. As you listen to these words, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your cells are regenerating, your immune system is fighting. The healing power is there. It's always been there. You just need to learn how to work with it instead of against it. But here's what I've discovered in over 40 years of research into the subconscious mind, working with thousands upon thousands of individuals, studying case after case of spontaneous healing and mysterious illness. Here's what I've seen in people from every walk of life, every background, every belief system. The reason that healing power isn't manifesting the way you want, the reason your body isn't responding the way it should, is because you've been unknowingly blocking it with your own words. Every time you tell someone how sick you are, you're reinforcing that sickness in your subconscious mind. Every time you describe your symptoms in vivid detail, you're painting a picture for your subconscious to create more of. Every time you say my arthritis or my migraine or my condition or my disease, you're claiming ownership of that problem. You're making it yours. You're declaring it to be a permanent part of your identity. Think about it for a moment. How often do you talk about what's wrong with your body? How much time do you spend describing your pain to others? When someone asks, "How are you?" what do you say? Do you launch into a detailed account of your symptoms? Do you explain how bad you feel? Do you list everything that hurts? And then notice what happens. The more you talk about it, the more real it becomes. The more permanent it seems. The more it defines you. Here's what's happening at the level of your subconscious mind. Every word you speak is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. Your subconscious doesn't argue with you. It doesn't say, "Are you sure? Do you really want me to create more of this?" No. It simply says, "Yes, I hear you loud and clear. You want more of this experience, I'll make sure you get it." And it goes to work creating exactly what you've declared. When you say, "I feel terrible," Your subconscious accepts that as an instruction. It says, yes, you feel terrible, and it makes sure you continue to feel terrible. When you say, this pain never goes away, your subconscious hears that as a command. It says, the pain never goes away, and it makes certain that the pain persists. Your subconscious mind is like the most faithful servant you could ever imagine. It listens to every word you say. It doesn't judge whether your words are good for you or bad for you. It doesn't argue. It doesn't question. It simply accepts what you tell it and goes to work making it real in your body. When you say, I feel terrible, your subconscious says, yes, you feel terrible, and creates more of that feeling. When you say, this pain never goes away, your subconscious says, the pain never goes away, and makes sure it doesn't. Do you see what's happening? You've been using the most powerful creative force in the universe, your spoken word, against yourself. But tonight, everything changes. Tonight, you're going to learn how to use that same power for yourself instead of against yourself. You're going to discover what I call the spoken law of restoration. This is not positive thinking. This is not pretending. This is not denial. This is a scientific law as real and as reliable as the law of gravity. When you drop something, it falls. When you speak with conviction and feeling and faith, your subconscious mind creates what you speak. It's that simple. It's that powerful. And it works for everyone who uses it correctly. Now, I'm not asking you to believe me right now. I'm going to show you. I'm going to share with you real stories of real people who discovered this law and used it to heal themselves of conditions the doctors said were impossible. I'm going to explain to you exactly how this law works, step by step, so you understand the mechanism. And then I'm going to give you the exact practices, the exact words to say, the exact times to say them, so you can begin speaking healing into your body tonight. By the time we're done here, you'll know beyond any shadow of doubt that you have the power to transform your health. Not through some mysterious magic, but through a law that's been available to you your whole life. You deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve to wake up with energy and vitality. You deserve to live free from pain and limitation. And the beautiful truth is this: your body wants to heal. It's designed to heal. It's constantly trying to heal. You just need to stop contradicting it with your words and start supporting it. You need to speak the language your subconscious understands, the language of faith, of feeling, of absolute conviction in perfect health. So if you've been suffering, if you've been struggling, if you've been feeling hopeless, I want you to know something. Hope is here. Power is here. Healing is here. It's within you right now. And in the next hour, I'm going to show you exactly how to access it through the spoken law of restoration. Are you ready? Then let's begin. Now, before I give you the principles and practices, let me share with you some real experiences, real people who discovered this law and transformed their lives. These stories will show you what's possible when you understand the spoken law of restoration, because when you see what others have done, you'll know that you can do it too. Let me tell you about a woman named Margaret. She came to see me years ago, and I'll never forget the sight of her walking into my office. Actually, walking isn't quite the right word. She was shuffling, really, bent over at almost a 45-degree angle, using a cane, each step clearly causing her pain. Her hands were twisted and swollen with arthritis, her fingers curved in ways that hands shouldn't curve. She could barely grasp the doorknob to open my office door. I had to help her into the chair, and even sitting down was an ordeal for her. I could see the pain in her eyes. But more than pain, I could see defeat. I could see someone who had given up hope. Margaret told me her story. She'd been to specialist after specialist, rheumatologists, orthopedic surgeons, pain management doctors. She'd been to the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, all the most prestigious medical institutions in the country. They'd given her every treatment they knew: steroids, anti-inflammatory medications, immune suppressants, experimental therapies. Some things would help for a few weeks, but then the pain would come roaring back, often worse than before. She'd tried physical therapy until the physical therapist said there was nothing more they could do. She'd tried special diets, eliminating nightshades and dairy and gluten. She'd tried acupuncture, massage, hydrotherapy. Nothing provided lasting relief. The doctors finally told her, "Margaret, you need to accept this. Rheumatoid arthritis is a progressive disease. This is just going to get worse. There's nothing more we can do." We can try to manage your pain, but the deterioration will continue. You might want to start thinking about a wheelchair. Margaret was only 53 years old. 53. And she felt like her life was over. She said to me, "Dr. Murphy, I used to dance. My husband and I used to go dancing every Saturday night. I used to garden and cook and play with my grandchildren. Now I can barely dress myself. I need help to button my clothes. I can't open a jar. I can't hold a pen to write. I feel like I'm trapped in a body that's betraying me." I looked at this woman, and I saw someone who had forgotten her own power. So I said to Margaret, "What if I told you that you've been using the most powerful creative force in the universe to create your suffering? And what if I told you that you could use that same force to create your healing?" She looked at me skeptically. She said, "What force? What are you talking about?" And I said, "Your words, Margaret. Your spoken words. Every time you describe how bad your arthritis is, every time you tell someone about your pain, every time you say I can't do this or I'll never be able to that, you're commanding your subconscious mind to keep you in this condition." Margaret was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that many people say when they first hear this. She said, "But Dr. Murphy, I'm just describing reality. I'm just telling the truth about my condition. Should I lie?" And I said, "No, Margaret. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking you to stop rehearsing the problem and start declaring the solution. I'm asking you to stop describing what is and start speaking what you want to be. Because your subconscious mind is listening to every word, and it's creating your tomorrow based on what you say today." I taught Margaret something very simple but very powerful. I gave her specific words to say every morning when she woke up and every night before she went to sleep. I wrote them down for her. My body is restoring itself to perfect health. Every joint is flexible and strong. Every cell in my body is renewed and regenerated. I am whole, I am well, I am free. I move easily and gracefully. My hands are strong and capable. I am grateful for my perfect healing. And I told her, "Margaret, you must say these words out loud. You must say them with feeling and emotion. You must see yourself in your mind's eye moving freely, dancing with your husband, playing with your grandchildren. You must feel the joy and the relief as if it's already happened. And you must believe these words with every fiber of your being, even though your eyes show you something different right now." I could see doubt in Margaret's face. She said, "Dr. Murphy, I'll try it. But honestly, I don't see how words can change this. The doctors say my joints are damaged. How can words fix damaged joints?" And I said, "Margaret, your body has intelligence beyond what any doctor understands. Your body knows how to heal. It's been healing you your whole life. Every cut you ever had healed itself. Every broken bone you ever had mended itself. The intelligence that does that is still within you. It's never left. You just need to stop contradicting it with your words and start supporting it. You need to give it permission and direction through your declarations." Margaret agreed to try it. She went home, and she did exactly what I told her. Every single morning when she woke up, before she even got out of bed, she would speak those words. At first it felt strange to her. She told me later that the first week, she felt foolish talking to herself. The words felt empty because she couldn't see any evidence of healing. Her hands still hurt. Her body was still bent. Everything looked the same, but she had made a commitment, so she continued. Every morning, my body is restoring itself to perfect health. Every joint is flexible and strong. Every night the same words. And she would place her twisted hands on her heart and speak life into them. My hands are strong and capable. Every cell is renewed, week after week. Now here's what's important. For the first few weeks, nothing changed physically. The pain was still there. The swelling was still there. The stiffness was still there. Her family started to worry about her. Her daughter said, "Mom, you're just talking to yourself. This is silly, you need to face reality." Her husband, though he loved her, was concerned. He said, "Margaret, please don't get your hopes up. I don't want to see you disappointed again." But Margaret understood something they didn't. She remembered what I had told her. I had explained to her that healing is like planting a garden. When you plant seeds in the ground, you don't see anything for days or weeks. The seeds are underground, beneath the surface, germinating, roots are growing down, the structure of the plant is forming. But you can't see any of this. It's all happening in the invisible realm. And if you got impatient and dug up the seeds to check on them, you'd destroy the very process you're trying to encourage. Margaret understood this. She understood that she was planting seeds in her subconscious mind, and seeds don't grow overnight. Seeds need time. Seeds need consistent watering. Seeds need faith. So Margaret persisted. She spoke her declarations every day with increasing faith. And then, after about 6 weeks, something happened. One morning Margaret woke up and she noticed something. The stiffness was a little less than usual. Just a little. Anyone else might have dismissed it as a random good day, as a fluke, as nothing significant. But Margaret knew better. She knew her subconscious was responding. She knew the seeds she'd been planting were beginning to germinate. She knew the law was working. And this gave her even more faith, even more conviction, even more feeling behind her words. She called me on the phone and I could hear the excitement in her voice. She said, "Dr. Murphy, something's different. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel something shifting." And I said, "Margaret, don't stop now. This is just the beginning. Keep speaking, keep believing, keep seeing yourself whole." And she did. She spoke her declarations with even greater intensity, even greater emotion. She would stand in front of her mirror, look herself in the eyes, and declare with absolute conviction, "I am healed, I am whole, I am free." The improvements continued. Slowly at first, then more rapidly. After 3 months, Margaret could open jars. I remember her calling me, laughing and crying at the same time, saying, "Dr. Murphy, I opened a jar of pickles today. I haven't been able to do that in 5 years. I stood in my kitchen and I cried with joy." After 4 months, she could write her name again. After 5 months, she was back in her garden, planting flowers. Her hands were straightening, the swelling was going down, her posture was improving, she could stand upright. And after 6 months, Margaret walked into my office standing straight and tall. No cane, no shuffle. She walked in with grace and confidence. Her hands were completely normal. You would never know she'd been crippled with arthritis. And she had the biggest smile on her face. She said, "Dr. Murphy, look at me, just look at me." And then she took my hands and she danced with me right there in my office. She said, "I'm dancing with my husband again. We went dancing last Saturday night for the first time in 5 years. I'm playing with my grandchildren. I'm living my life again. And it's all because I learned to speak differently." Now, Margaret went back to her doctors for a follow-up appointment. They couldn't believe it. They did x-rays, blood tests, physical examinations. The doctor looked at her file, looked at her current condition, and said, "I don't understand this. Your charts show severe rheumatoid arthritis with significant joint damage. But looking at you now, there's minimal inflammation, excellent range of motion, and the joint spaces look almost normal. This is not typical. We'd call this a spontaneous remission, but honestly we can't explain it." And Margaret just smiled. She said, "I can explain it, doctor. I spoke healing into my body every day until it became real." The doctor dismissed it, of course. He said she must have been misdiagnosed or her arthritis wasn't as severe as they thought, but Margaret knew the truth. She'd lived the truth. She had spoken restoration into her body every single day with unwavering faith, and her subconscious mind had accepted her command. Her subconscious had reorganized every cell, every joint, every tissue to match her declaration. The infinite intelligence within her body had done what the doctors said was impossible. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a miracle in the sense of something supernatural that defied natural law. This was a law in operation. The law of mind, the spoken law of restoration, and Margaret proved that this law works for anyone who uses it correctly. And Margaret's story isn't unique. Let me tell you about a man named Robert. Robert was an engineer at a major aerospace company. He designed systems for satellites, worked with complex calculations, dealt with precise measurements every day. Engineers like Robert are trained to think logically, to demand proof, to test hypotheses. They don't accept things on faith. They need evidence. They need data. And Robert had suffered with chronic digestive problems for 20 years. 20 long years of discomfort. 20 years of restrictions on what he could eat. 20 years of embarrassment and pain and frustration. Robert described his condition to me in detail. He had what the doctors called irritable bowel syndrome, though they admitted they didn't really understand what caused it or how to cure it. He had chronic inflammation in his digestive tract. Certain foods would trigger severe reactions, bloating, pain, emergency trips to the bathroom. He carried enzyme supplements everywhere he went. He had to plan his life around his digestion. He couldn't eat at restaurants without anxiety. He couldn't travel comfortably. Social events were stressful because food was involved. And Robert, being an analytical person, had tried to solve this problem like he would solve an engineering problem. He kept food diaries, tracking every single thing he ate and every symptom. He tried elimination diets, cutting out dairy, then gluten, then FODMAPs, then lectins. Sometimes things would improve slightly, but the problems always came back. He tried every medication the gastroenterologists prescribed: acid reducers, antispasmodics, anti-inflammatory drugs. Again, temporary relief at best. He tried probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, fiber supplements. He spent thousands of dollars on tests, colonoscopies, endoscopies, breath tests, blood tests, stool tests. And every test came back showing inflammation but no clear cause. The doctors would shrug and say, "It's IBS. It's a functional disorder. We can try to manage your symptoms, but there's no cure." After 20 years of this, Robert was frustrated because engineering problems have solutions. Bridges don't just stay broken. Satellites don't malfunction without a reason. Everything in engineering has a cause and an effect, a problem and a solution. But he couldn't find the solution to his body. Then Robert happened to attend a lecture where he heard about the power of the subconscious mind. He heard that thoughts and words could influence physical health. And being a skeptical engineer, his first reaction was dismissal. "This sounds like New Age nonsense," he told me later. "Mind over matter, that's not science." But Robert was also a desperate man. 20 years of suffering will make you willing to try things you wouldn't normally consider. So he decided to treat this like an experiment. He came to my office and said, "Dr. Murphy, I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm willing to test it. Tell me exactly what to do, give me a specific protocol, and I'll document everything. I'll treat this like a scientific experiment. If it works, I want to know why. If it doesn't work, I want to know that too." I appreciated Robert's honesty and his scientific approach, so I gave him a very specific protocol. I said, "Robert, 3 times a day, once when you wake up, once at midday, and once before bed, you're going to speak these exact words out loud. My digestive system functions perfectly. Every organ performs its divine purpose. I absorb nutrition completely and easily. My intestines are healthy and strong. My body is in perfect harmony." And I told him, "You must speak these words out loud, not just think them. You must say them with emotion and conviction, not monotone like you're reading a technical manual. And you must visualize your digestive system working perfectly as you speak. You must feel grateful for perfect digestion. And Robert, you must do this for at least 90 days without stopping, regardless of what you see or feel or experience." Robert, being thorough, asked me many questions. "Why out loud?" I explained that speaking engages more of your consciousness than thinking. "Why emotion?" I explained that the subconscious responds to feeling. "Why 90 days?" I explained that this is roughly how long it takes to establish a new pattern in the subconscious mind and for the physical body to catch up to the mental blueprint. Robert took notes on everything. He said, "Okay, 90 days, I'll do it exactly as you say, and I'll document everything." And Robert did exactly that. He created a detailed journal. Every day he recorded what he ate, what symptoms he experienced, his energy levels, his mood, his sleep quality, and most importantly, whether he completed his 3 daily sessions of spoken affirmations. He rated his symptoms on a scale of 1 to 10. He noted any changes, no matter how small. He treated this like the engineering project it was to him: rigorous, methodical, documented. The first week, no change. Robert noted in his journal. Day 1 through 7. Spoke affirmations, 3x daily as instructed. Symptoms unchanged. Pain level 6 out of 10. Bloating after meals. No improvement observed. The second week, still struggling. He wrote, Day 8 through 14. Continuing protocol. Symptoms, persistent. Difficulty with digestion after lunch, pain level 7 out of 10. Feeling skeptical but committed to 90-day trial. But Robert was a man of science, and he'd committed to the experiment, so he continued. He spoke his affirmations every morning, every afternoon, every evening. He put reminders on his phone. He didn't miss a single session. Around week 3, Robert noticed something interesting. His energy was slightly better. Not dramatically different, but he woke up one morning and realized he didn't feel as drained as usual. He noted it in his journal. Day 19. Energy level improved from 4/10 to 6/10. Could this be related to protocol? Digestion still problematic, but severity slightly reduced. Week 4 brought more changes. One particularly troublesome symptom, severe bloating after dinner, had diminished noticeably. Robert wrote, Day 26. Evening bloating reduced by approximately 40%. This is the first significant, measurable improvement in months. Continuing protocol with increased confidence in process. By week 8, Robert was experiencing changes he hadn't thought possible. He wrote in his journal, Day 56, remarkable changes observed. Pain level reduced from 7/10 to 3/10. Able to eat foods that previously triggered severe reactions with minimal or no symptoms. Energy levels consistently 7/10 or higher. Sleep quality improved. Mood significantly better. Correlation between consistent affirmation practice and symptom reduction appears undeniable. And Robert, the engineer, started analyzing his data. He created charts graphing his symptom severity over time. He looked at the correlation between his daily declarations and his healing trajectory. And he saw a clear pattern. The more consistently he spoke his affirmations with genuine feeling, the more rapidly his healing progressed. Robert continued for the full 90 days. By the end, he was completely symptom-free. He could eat foods he hadn't been able to touch in 20 years. He could go to restaurants without fear. He could travel without anxiety. His energy was better than it had been in decades. No restrictions, no discomfort, no medications, perfect digestive health. And Robert, being Robert, sat down and wrote a comprehensive analysis of his experiment. He came back to my office with a full report. Charts, graphs, data points, timeline analysis. He said, Dr. Murphy, I went into this as a skeptic. I expected to prove that this was placebo effect at best. But I can't deny my own data. Look at this. He showed me his charts. This is a clear, measurable, reproducible result. I applied a consistent input, spoken affirmations with emotional conviction 3 times daily. I observed a predictable output, systematic reduction of symptoms, and complete healing of a 20-year chronic condition. This is as reliable as any physical law I've studied in engineering. He continued, when you apply consistent force in a consistent direction to a structure, you get a predictable result. That's basic physics. I applied consistent spoken words in a consistent direction toward healing, and I got complete healing. The mechanism is obviously the subconscious mind, which I now understand is not some mystical concept but an actual function of the brain that controls autonomic systems. My affirmations reprogrammed my subconscious, which then corrected whatever dysfunction was causing my digestive issues. This is a law. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's a reproducible phenomenon. Robert became one of the most enthusiastic advocates of this principle because he'd proven it to himself through rigorous testing. He told everyone at his engineering firm about it. He said, I approach this like an experiment, and the results are conclusive. The spoken word, when combined with conviction and feeling and repetition, has measurable effects on physical health. This isn't belief, this is data. And that's exactly right. This is a law. It works, it's reliable, it's testable. And Robert proved it with engineering precision. Now, what about conditions that seem even more serious? What about situations where it's not just your own body but someone you love, someone vulnerable, someone who depends on you? Let me tell you about a mother named Sarah and her young son, and this story will touch your heart because it demonstrates the power of love combined with spoken word. Sarah had a 7-year-old son named Michael. Beautiful little boy, bright, curious, full of energy, except he was covered in severe eczema from head to toe. I'm talking about angry red patches covering 60% of his body, His arms, his legs, his torso, his face, the skin was cracked and weeping in some places. And the itching, oh, the itching was relentless. This child couldn't sleep at night. Sarah would hear him in his room, crying, scratching until he bled. She would go in and hold his little hands to stop him from tearing at his skin. She would put mittens on him to prevent scratching, but nothing helped for long. Michael couldn't play with other children the way other kids could. When he went to school, children would stare. Some would ask, "What's wrong with your skin?" Some would refuse to hold his hand during circle time because they were afraid it was contagious. Children can be cruel without meaning to be. And Michael, at 7 years old, was already developing shame about his body. He would ask his mother, "Why do I look different? Why can't I have normal skin like other kids?" And Sarah's heart would break into pieces every time. She had taken Michael to specialist after specialist, pediatric dermatologists at children's hospitals, allergists, immunologists. They ran every test. They tried every cream, every ointment, every medication. Steroid creams that thinned his skin, antihistamines that made him drowsy but didn't stop the itching, immunosuppressant drugs with dangerous side effects, elimination diets that removed food after food but provided minimal relief. They tried wet wrap therapy. They tried bleach baths. They tried expensive phototherapy treatments. Some things would help a little for a while, but the eczema always came back, often worse than before. The medications came with terrible side effects. Michael would be irritable, couldn't concentrate in school, had frequent infections because his immune system was suppressed. And the cost financially and emotionally was enormous. Sarah spent tens of thousands of dollars on treatments. She spent countless hours in doctors' offices and hospitals. She spent sleepless nights worrying about her son's future. She would lie awake thinking, will he ever be normal? Will he ever be comfortable in his own skin? Will he be scarred for life, emotionally and physically? Sarah felt like she was failing as a mother. That's what she told me when she first came to see me. She sat in my office and wept. She said, "Dr. Murphy, I'm supposed to protect my child. I'm supposed to make him feel better. But I can't. I can't take away his pain. I can't make his skin normal. I can't give him a childhood without suffering. What kind of mother can't help her own child?" I could see the guilt, the helplessness, the desperation in her eyes. And I said to Sarah, "What if I told you that the most powerful medicine you can give your son isn't in a prescription bottle? What if I told you that you have the power to heal him through the creative force of your spoken word combined with your mother's love?" Sarah looked at me with hope mixed with skepticism. She said, "I'll try anything. Tell me what to do." I taught Sarah something beautiful. I taught her that she could speak healing over her child while he slept. I explained that when Michael was asleep, his conscious mind was inactive. His subconscious was open and receptive, like a sponge. And a mother's voice, a mother's love, a mother's faith, has tremendous power. I gave her specific words to say, and specific instructions on how to say them. Every single night, after Michael fell asleep, Sarah would sit by his bed. She would gently place her hand on his little body, careful not to wake him. And she would speak in a soft, loving whisper, words filled with absolute maternal love and conviction. "Your skin is perfect, smooth and healthy. Every cell is restored and renewed. You are whole and complete. God's healing love flows through every part of your body. You wake up tomorrow with beautiful, clear skin. You are healed, my precious child. You are healed." Sarah would speak these words for 10 to 15 minutes every night. She would visualize her son with perfect clear skin, running and playing, smiling and happy, comfortable in his body. She would see him in her mind's eye, touching his smooth arms, his clear face. She would feel the joy and relief of seeing him healed, and she would pour every ounce of her mother's love into those words. That fierce, protective, unconditional love that only a mother knows, she channeled that into her declarations. I told Sarah, "You must do this every single night without fail. You must not let doubt enter your mind. When you look at his skin during the day and it still looks the same, you must not waver. You must know that the healing is happening beneath the surface. You're planting seeds in his subconscious every night. Those seeds are taking root. Trust the process." And Sarah, desperate for her child to be well, committed completely. She said, "I'll do anything. I'll speak these words over him every night for the rest of my life if that's what it takes." For the first week, nothing visible changed. Michael's skin looked the same. The itching was the same. But Sarah persisted. Second week, still no dramatic change. But Sarah noticed that Michael seemed to sleep a little better. Maybe 15 minutes less of scratching at night. She clung to that small sign. Third week, Sarah thought maybe, just maybe, one patch on Michael's arm looked a tiny bit less red. She wasn't sure if she was imagining it, but she kept speaking her nightly declarations. Then, at the beginning of week 3, something remarkable happened. Sarah woke up and went to check on Michael as she always did. And she saw that a patch on his arm, a patch that had been angry and red for months, was significantly lighter. The inflammation had decreased noticeably. She could hardly believe her eyes. She touched it gently, and the skin felt smoother. Michael woke up and said, "Mommy, this spot doesn't itch as much." Sarah's heart leaped with hope. From that point forward, the healing accelerated. Week 4, multiple patches were fading. Week 5, Michael slept through the entire night for the first time in months. Week 6, whole sections of skin were clearing. His arms, which had been covered, were showing large areas of normal, healthy skin. His legs were improving. Even his face was clearing. Sarah would sit by his bed and weep tears of gratitude as she continued her nightly declarations. The transformation wasn't just physical. Michael's entire demeanor changed. As his skin healed, he became more confident, more playful, more like a normal 7-year-old boy. He started raising his hand in class again. He started making friends. He stopped hiding his arms under long sleeves. He started smiling more. And Sarah watched her son come back to life. Within 3 months, just 3 months, Michael's skin was 90% clear. Within 4 months, you would never know this child had suffered from severe eczema. His skin was smooth, healthy, normal. The pediatric dermatologist was stunned. She said, "I've been treating children with eczema for 20 years, and I've never seen a case this severe just resolve like this. What did you do differently?" And Sarah said, "I spoke healing over my son every night with faith and love. I declared his skin was perfect, until it became perfect." The doctor dismissed it, of course. She said it must have been a spontaneous improvement, that maybe Michael grew out of it, but Sarah knew the truth. Years later, Sarah told me, "Dr. Murphy, that experience changed my life. I learned that I'm not powerless. I learned that my words have creative force. I learned that a mother's love combined with faith can move mountains. But most importantly, I learned that I could be a healing presence for my child. And now, whenever anyone in my family has any health issue, I speak healing over them. I know the power I have. And that's beautiful. That's what I want you to understand. This law doesn't just work for yourself. When you speak healing over someone you love with genuine faith and feeling, especially when they're in a receptive state like sleep, you can be a healing presence in their life. Your words carry power. Your faith can lift another person. This is the magnificence of understanding this law. You become not just a healer of your own body, but a source of blessing to everyone around you. Now let me tell you about a man named David, because this story demonstrates something crucial: that mind and body are not separate, that the spoken law of restoration works for emotional and mental suffering just as powerfully as it works for physical ailments. David was what the world would call successful. He was 42 years old, senior vice president at a financial services company, making excellent money, living in a beautiful home, married with 2 children. From the outside, David had everything, but inside, David was dying. He was plagued by anxiety and depression that had gotten worse and worse over the years until he could barely function. David would wake up every morning at 4 a.m. with his heart racing, his mind spinning with worst-case scenarios. He would lie there in the dark, imagining everything that could go wrong. He would see himself losing his job, losing his house, his wife leaving him, his children suffering. He would imagine business failures, health crises, financial disasters. And these weren't just fleeting worries, these were vivid, detailed mental movies that would play in his mind for hours. He would get up exhausted, as if he'd been running a marathon in his sleep. During the day, David functioned on autopilot. He would go through the motions at work, but he couldn't concentrate. He'd be in meetings and realize he hadn't heard a word anyone said because his mind was consumed with fear. He'd be talking to his children and not really be present because he was mentally rehearsing some catastrophe. His relationships were suffering, his performance at work was declining, and the anxiety was manifesting physically. He had frequent headaches, digestive problems, chest pains, muscle tension. He'd been to the emergency room 3 times thinking he was having a heart attack, only to be told it was anxiety. David's doctor prescribed anti-anxiety medication. It helped a little, but the side effects were terrible. He felt numb, detached, not himself. He tried therapy, and that helped him understand his anxiety better, but it didn't make it go away. He tried meditation apps, breathing exercises, yoga, exercise, dietary changes. Some things would help for a day or two, but the anxiety always came roaring back, and David felt trapped. He felt like his own mind was his prison. Then one day David had a realization that changed everything. He was driving to work, spinning out in another anxiety spiral when he caught himself. He literally heard his own voice in his head saying, "Everything is going to fall apart. I can't handle this. Something terrible is going to happen." And suddenly David stopped and thought, wait, how much time do I spend thinking and saying these things? How many hours a day am I mentally rehearsing disaster? He started paying attention, and he realized it was almost constant. From the moment he woke up until he fell asleep at night, he was having internal conversations about everything that could go wrong. And then David had an insight. He thought, if I'm spending 8 or 10 hours a day mentally speaking disaster, no wonder I feel like I'm living in disaster. I'm literally creating my reality with my thoughts and words. He didn't fully understand the mechanism yet, but he knew something had to change. That's when he came to see me. David said, "Dr. Murphy, I can't keep living like this. I'm successful on the outside, but I'm falling apart on the inside. My anxiety is controlling my life. I've tried medication, therapy, everything. Nothing's working. Can you help me?" And I said, "David, I can teach you how to help yourself, but I need you to understand something first. Your anxiety isn't happening to you. You're creating it with your habitual thought patterns and your habitual speech patterns. You've been unknowingly using the creative power of your word to build a mental prison, and now you're going to learn how to use that same power to build mental freedom." I explained to David how the subconscious mind works. I explained that every thought you think repeatedly and every word you speak with emotion creates a pattern in your subconscious. And your subconscious then creates your emotional state, your physical state, and ultimately your life circumstances to match those patterns. David, being an intelligent man, understood immediately. He said, "So I've been programming myself for anxiety?" And I said, "Exactly. But now you're going to reprogram yourself for peace." I gave David new declarations to replace his habitual fear-based thoughts. I said, "David, starting today, every morning when you wake up, before you allow any anxious thoughts to take hold, you're going to speak these words. My mind is peaceful and calm. My emotions are balanced and harmonious. I am filled with confidence and joy. I sleep deeply and wake refreshed. I face each day with courage and faith. Divine peace floods my mind and body. I am safe, I am secure, I am blessed." And I told him, whenever you catch yourself spinning into anxiety, you must immediately stop and speak these words out loud. You must interrupt the old pattern and replace it with the new pattern. David committed to this practice, but he also told me honestly, "Dr. Murphy, this is going to be hard. I've been anxious for so long. It's like my default setting." And I said, "Yes, it will be a battle at first. Your old thought patterns will fight back. But every time you choose your declarations over your anxiety, every time you choose faith over fear, you're building new neural pathways. You're training your mind. It gets easier with practice." The first few weeks were exactly as David described a battle. He would wake up and immediately feel the anxiety rising. But instead of going with it like he had for years, he would force himself to speak his declarations, sometimes through tears, sometimes through shaking, but he would speak them. During the day, he would catch himself catastrophizing, and he would stop mid-thought and say out loud, "No, my mind is peaceful and calm. I am filled with confidence and joy." His co-workers probably thought he was strange, talking to himself in his office, but David didn't care. He was fighting for his life, and something interesting happened. Around week 3, David had what he called a moment of clarity. He was in his usual morning anxiety spiral, and he caught it and spoke his declarations. And for just a moment, maybe 30 seconds, the anxiety actually stopped. His mind was quiet,